We're here in Buffalo, Wyoming at Meadow Wool, and I am here with Yarnold and Lambert, and we are going to take a tour of the store and fiber mill today.
Hi, I'm Karen. I am the owner and founder of Meadow Wool, and we are here in Buffalo, Wyoming, and we're excited to have you here.
And we're going to take a tour. Can we start with your yarn?
Yes. Okay. So we're yarn makers.
Yes.
And we have a lot of different bases. So in our store, we have it separated by weights.
Okay.
So we have a baby weight fingering, then it goes to sport, and then DK and worsted, and then bulky.
Oh, yes, over here.
Over here. So because we're a mill, we have lots of dye pot, that means things that didn't quite make the cut for the color, and there's all sorts of random stuff sometimes. But some of my favorite yarns, one is Cora.
Okay.
Cora is it's a 3-ply worsted. It's just a beautiful smooth yarn, and we have it in the natural white and the tweed. So we call it our tweed, but it's just the natural black, gray, and white all spun, plied together.
That's
and then it's
cool.
over dyed. So I think it's just a really pretty yarn.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
And what kind of sheep? What is in this one?
Okay, this is our mountain merino.
Okay.
So our mountain merino is made with probably three different breeds of sheep, primarily Rambouillet.
Nice.
And some Targhee and some Cormo gets in there, and we even get some merino. What we're doing is pooling together those ranchers in the state.
Oh, so it's Wyoming.
It's Wyoming wool.
Oh, wow.
And we just create a blend. We've trademarked it as mountain merino.
I love
now,
that.
most of this yarn is mountain merino. I believe alpine right here is Targhee only. But most of the rest of them are all mountain merino. Now, we also do have separate fiber. So we'll sell Cormo top, Targhee top, Rambouillet top.
Amazing.
And so we also have a blend. We have a bamboo and
we
wool
can walk
blend.
over there and look at it.
It's one of our finer yarns. It's really super popular because it's real lightweight, especially
so nice.
This time of year. And we sell a lot of this to, our southern people who don't want such a heavy weight.
Is that?
It's just, no, this is baby weight up here.
Okay.
This is the fingering bamboo, and then this is fingering just our regular mountain merino.
Oh, it's so nice.
Yeah.
I love that. Do you have any other favorites?
Well, Cody is a very, very popular one.
Okay.
So fun little tidbit about our naming. We pick Wyoming towns. So people sometimes think that that's where it came from, the sheep. But it's not the sheep. It's just the name of the town. So all of our yarn has a Wyoming town name.
That's so fun.
So Cody is super popular because it's a sport weight. It's just a 2-ply, nice base. We have a lot of designers who use that and create a lot of fun things out of it. It's also available in a lot of colors and all the naturals.
Yeah, the naturals are very lovely there.
Yep.
That's great. Now, do you dye on only like the lightest natural, or do you also dye on like your grays?
We do dye on the grays. Interesting thing about our dyeing is it's changing. We are getting ready to actually introduce lots of different colors because we're going to be putting those grays into our regular lineup with some color choices. You can buy the grays in kits right now, but over dyed.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's real fun. It makes a whole nother range.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And along with that, this sport weight yarn, we also make a lot of tweeds, and we make our so the different colors.
Yeah, that's
with
pretty.
the naturals. Yeah.
It's amazing how different the shades are that you can get when you're blending those together.
So this is a full black with a dark gray, and this is the light gray and dark gray, and this is white and light gray.
Wow. They're pretty. They'd be so pretty in a project together.
They are, and we've had some. We've had Andrea Mowry's done a pattern with this.
Oh, wow.
We have a fun little cowl that's been made with this tweed, and we also use it in our knitting.
Yeah.
And then we have our bison. You know, we are in Buffalo, Wyoming.
Right.
Our bison is really cool because it is, it's not just from a sheared buffalo hide, it's from hand brushed. So we go out to the ranch and we actually brush the
oh my gosh.
buffalo when they're going through the vaccination chute. So I don't necessarily do it, but we have a couple guys who go out and it takes them all day and they get about 40 pounds. Not very much. So we blend it with black wool. So this is called Tatanka.
May I feel that one?
Yep.
Oh, very cool.
And this one is called Mountain Down because it's done with white wool and then we dye it.
Okay.
So we have two types of, I believe this one is a sport and that one's a fingering.
Beautiful.
So we only have a limited amount of bison, so it's pretty pricey. And we only sell it to our Wyoming stores.
So you've got to come to Wyoming. It's
very selective. You can buy it online, but a yarn store can only carry it if they're in Wyoming.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, we've seen your yarn at like all the stores that we've been to, I think. Well, just about in Wyoming.
Oh, yeah. Well, good. Yeah. I think they all carry our stuff, so that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we love seeing that.
And then we come down, I guess we can go over here and look at the different bulky ones we have. Sheridan is just a 3-ply bulky, and it's, you know, got kind of a nice color range.
Yeah.
Yellowstone is a real chunky yarn. So it's...
Oh, yeah, it's real chunky.
Yeah, it's a real squishy, fat one. And then this one is a really fun one. Feel that.
Ooh.
That,
like even softer.
Yeah.
What is that?
That is a blend. It's mountain merino, alpaca, and tencel. So
that's nice.
Yeah.
And it's got a nice shine to it.
It is. It was a limited run. In fact, this one was kind of invented by our guy who does the spinning of the yarn. He plied it together and he goes, oh, wow, look at this. You need to make a yarn like this.
Yeah.
Eventually we did.
That's really cool.
That's Mount Wister.
Beautiful.
And then we have our Suffolk. So Suffolk is a black face. So it has you see them all along the roads and stuff. They're meat breed, but their wool dyes beautifully and it's good for outerwear. But it's it's itchy. It's not a real soft wool, but it's
maybe not next to the neck.
Weavers love it.
Ooh.
They love it because they can weave things out of it.
Yeah. It still feels nice.
It does still feel nice. And it's, you know, it's good yarn. We sell it on cones to weavers.
That's cool. Well, you have a lot of finished items here in the store.
We do.
And you actually make them.
We make them here.
Here. Yeah. So, I'm first seeing these blankets, and these are incredible.
Yeah. So we got into knitting about 5 years ago.
Okay.
6 years ago, maybe. And it was not something that was intended. It was just something that kind of came to us.
So you were making yarns.
We are making yarn, just solely selling yarn.
Okay.
And the knitting, we would have stuff knit other places.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
But then those options started to fall apart. And we ended up getting knitting machines to do it ourselves.
Wow.
And we were trained by a wonderful man. And he sold us his machines. And then we make these are called jacquard knitting. So our yarns will go that we make will go over to knitting, or they'll go into the yarn sales. Yeah. We still sell mostly just yarn.
Yeah.
This is a growing part of our business, but it's probably not our main source. The thing that we do a lot with this is people send us their wool. all over the
Oh.
country. We do custom processing. We used to just be able to make yarn. Well, not everybody who has a farm with sheep wants a bunch of yarn.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of would like a blanket.
Yeah.
So we can take their wool all the way to a finished product, like beanies and stuff like that.
That's really cool. Yeah,
Do a
these
lot
are
of that.
awesome. So yeah, let's look at some of your other stuff. You've got all these great beanies, some with bison. And
Yeah,
some with
there's some of
yak.
our bison and yak.
Oh, that's nice. It's always fun too for people who, I mean, even knitters and crocheters. I like to buy finished items sometimes too. Like I don't like to make gloves.
Yeah.
So I just buy
Yeah.
buy the gloves that are made on the machine.
Gloves are hard. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think gloves are hard. But we, even our knitters come and they come on a tour, and their husbands will buy a hat.
Yeah, nice.
And I think sometimes they're kind of relieved they don't have to make that hat, but sometimes they want to make that and they want the pattern.
Sure.
But we can't translate a knitting machine pattern to a
It's different.
knitting,
Definitely.
hand knitted item.
Definitely. Okay, what do you have over here?
Oh, we make dryer balls with our
you do.
waste. It's not our waste, but it's our odds and ends that, nothing goes to waste. We reuse everything.
That's great.
So these
These
are
really soft.
Yeah, these are handmade.
Wow.
And we sell a lot of dryer balls in sets. So they get a set of 3, or you can just buy one to replace one that you maybe lost. So we've sold dryer balls for a very long time. And then we have, of course, the little stores that have the fun soap and puzzle. I don't know. We just have to have a lot of fun little things for tourists.
Very cute.
Sometimes they just want a bag of candy.
And here's your fiber.
This is our fiber. Yep. So we have all the different fibers we use. We make it into top. So spinners will buy the top in pound bags. We have some that are alpaca blends. We have random ones that we don't have for a long time, but this came off of, it was a part of a blending process. Mm-hmm. And so it's fun.
It's pretty.
Yeah, it'll be fun for a spinner to have fun with.
Are you a spinner?
I can spin and weave and crochet and knit.
Awesome.
Not any of it very well, but I know enough. I mean, I like to spin, but
that's great. Yeah. One day I want to get into spinning.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Running the mill kind of took most of my time in the last years. So
Fair.
I don't have a lot of time to do that anymore, but I love it. And this just shows our cones of yarn and more things that are made. We do a lot of repurposing. So we do the knitting and we'll have scraps. And what are we going to do with the scraps? We make cup koozies.
Yeah, that's cute.
Little heated packs, so you can put on your sore muscles, warm squared, bleach your butt pads. I mean, there's just
car cup
coasters, handle for a pot.
Oh, cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And then you have your sweaters.
And then we have our sweaters. Yeah.
Wow. So what are some the basic, I'm seeing hoodies.
We started with hoodies and we make a lot of hoodies. So hoodies are one of our staples. People, they love the hoodie, and now we have it in colors.
Beautiful.
And then we also have just a crew neck and the Bomber Mountain, which is a more fitted. This is our University of Wyoming over here.
I was going to say, look at your collection, your Cowboy Joe collection.
Cowboy Joe collection.
How fun.
So we do a blanket for the University of Wyoming every year. They send their sheep. So this was made with the sheep from the university.
Really?
They have a sheep program and they raise the sheep. They send us the wool. We made throws. I think for the last 4 years, we've made a different design. And we had a lot of extra yarn. So we did kind of a combo.
That is so cool. Yeah, you got scarves, hats,
blankets and hoodies. And
these are, hoodies.
Yeah, University of Wyoming. Wow. So golden brown.
That is so cool. No, it's perfect for that. Absolutely perfect.
Yep. And then we just continue to add different things. We have a couple sweaters and we have some wraps.
Beautiful. Kind of a textured blanket.
Yeah, it's
here.
just like a wrap for
That's beautiful.
you can wear around, or a kind of a poncho.
Very neat.
You know, there's so many beautiful knitting patterns
Mhm.
for hand knitters. We're trying to make sure that people who can't knit, there's something fun that they can buy and feel like that's
awesome. So are y'all creating these patterns?
They're not patterns for a knitter.
Well, like,
but yeah,
for the
we have
machine?
the machine. Yeah.
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 That's a whole nother
Yeah, that's a
thing.
whole nother, even the way you know, the wording and language to it is totally different.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
What's in this room?
This room.
This is a cool jacket.
So that's the University of Wyoming. That's from one of their blankets. You can see the cowboy.
Oh, wow.
And we have a whole sewing department. So they take those things that don't quite work for a blanket and make them into something else.
Very cool.
And then we'll also get perhaps a hat. The color didn't turn out quite right. You know, when you have an online store, you have to make sure that what you show is what they're going to get. And this color isn't on our website. So it sells in our store under Ort. And that's with all these sweaters.
Ort.
Something's just, it's Ort.
Yeah.
It's a European term for a little bit left over.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
So these are kind of all one of a kind.
Yes, they're all one of a kind. There's the same high quality. There's nothing wrong with them. They just are just not quite, like, we don't sell this pink sweater online. So it's really pretty. And somebody's going to like it.
I love that one. I love pink. That's great. And I think we have one more room.
Yes, we do.
From the front.
This was not a retail store. This was just office spaces.
Oh.
So we've just created these into little nooks. This is we have a knitting group that comes every Saturday, and they kind of sit in here and they knit. But we also sell a lot of the kits. So you'll see those along the walls of the different things that are made into kits that we sell.
There's one more room.
There's another room.
Oh, cool. What do you have in here?
More of that repurposed mountain merino blankets. So these, we call them our ugly slippers because they're so awesome.
Yeah.
Anyway, people love them. They're all random. You never know what color you're going to get. We even have down to little baby ones.
Oh, those are cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, they look like they'd be warm.
They're nice. Yeah, they fit nice and they're warm. And then we have bags.
Oh yeah, these are great.
Totes. And then our more throws. These are just rib throws with no jacquard. They don't have the jacquard knitting. They just have a straight rib. And I believe this one is blended with tencel and wool, so it's light.
Very nice.
And our roaming bison throw, that's the state flag of Wyoming.
Oh, cool.
Done in a gray and white.
That's really neat. That's lovely. This first room that you walk into, what's in here?
So we have two sides of the mill. So this side is finishing and knitting and shipping and inventory.
Wow.
So finishing includes putting yarn onto cones, putting yarn onto skeins, prepping it for dyeing, drying it, and then there's also the sewing.
Oh yeah.
So for our finished items, they have to have labels put on them and steamed and packaged and ready to ship.
Wow.
So that all happens on this side of the mill. And then the other side is where the yarn production all happens.
Okay.
So yarn on the other side is washed, carded, pin drafted, combed, spun, and then the dye tanks are there as well.
Wow.
So
it's so cool.
yeah,
It's so
there's
fun
lots going on
to see it all from above. Like that's the coolest perspective that you can see.
Because you get a big wide angle view of it, and you can kind of see the whole thing. Most of the work is done in this part of not back there. Back there is, you know, receiving and shipments come in,
a lot of
shipments
fiber
leave,
back there.
and we've got a lot of yarn back
Looks
there.
like you could just like dive into it.
There's just
make a couch.
I think we have to dye some raw fiber for a mill in Michigan.
Oh, cool.
So we're dyeing that for them. And anyway, there's always different projects going on back in the back. And this is where everybody's running around and being busy bees and packaging and shipping. And
so on the floor here is not part of your normal tour. This is employees.
Right.
Only.
The floor, sometimes we'll bring people down. We have to do a lot of school tours and like we have a government tour this week. So we'll bring them on the floor. We'll take them and they can watch the twisters and then they can go look at the knitting. They're always very interested in the knitting operation. And they'll peek at the spinner. But the production side is just too crowded and we don't bring people on the floor. Upstairs, we do tours, you know, every day, all day that we're open. And great. They just wander up there, look at what's going on.
That's so cool.
Take their time. Yeah.
Yeah. You've got everything like the signs listed out so you can just read about all the different sections.
Yeah. And that all started with COVID.
Oh.
So that's when we started doing a self-guided tour upstairs.
That's awesome.
Then people could just come up and they could look at the mill and, you know, we could keep on doing what we're doing and we still offered it. So it worked out well.
Yeah. That's what everyone was saying. They loved that part of it when we were like saying, hey, we're getting ready to come here. They're like, it's so cool. You can take a tour of the mill. Yeah. So I think people love it.
They do love it. And then when they come downstairs, they want to shop.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's really a good thing for us too.
I love that. Well, can we look around at some things down here?
Okay, so first off, let's just go over here.
Okay.
So Sammy is doing scanning and getting yarn ready to be prepped to dye.
Okay.
So this is the yarn that's prepped right here.
Oh, wow.
And it'll go into these dye tanks. So she's getting that set up. Usually there's 2 scanners, except we're missing a few people. It was Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah. We're here on
let's take another day on the weekend. Yeah.
Fair.
So that's what's happening right here.
Very cool.
And then if we walk on we'll go down and take a little look at some of the dyed yarn that was done last week.
Yeah.
So this is all hanging. It's was drying. It's dry, and now it'll be bundled up and sent. This is being sent to another company.
Super
for
cool.
them to sell. So
I love that.
That was, I think, Friday's dyeing.
Very cool.
Right there.
Very cool.
So this area is our knitting department. So this is where all the knitted items are made on these machines back here.
Wow.
It's a quiet day. This is their day off today because they usually have Mondays off.
Awesome.
But Lynn is actually doing some prep for the knitting machines we're doing, those are yarns that are going to go to the knitting machines.
They're just getting
they got dyed and they're being put on cones so that they can go to the machine.
Super cool. Wow.
She's got her little stack right there.
That's cool. So everything is getting made. The knitting machines, do they produce a finished sweater or a fabric for a sweater?
A finished sweater.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's all programmed and it comes out with the sleeves and the whole thing. It's crazy.
Oh my God. And so then by hand, they're putting on the tags.
They're putting on the tags. So like right over here is our sewing. So it looks like there was this is part of our repurposing.
Yeah.
So something happened to this blanket. It wasn't, we couldn't sell it. So we felt it.
Oh.
So it becomes fabric we can just cut. And Heidi, what are you making?
I am making little handbags.
Oh, cool.
Oh, yeah, show them.
So I cut this out of this material, and I'm going to stitch it up and make a little handbag out of it.
That's cute.
And then that's how we repurpose a lot of the blankets we can't sell.
That's very clever.
Make them into different products.
That's awesome.
So these are our knitting machines, and you can see we have, I think there's 5 that actually work.
Wow.
Maybe 4. But there's that looks like some kind of a throw coming off of this one.
Okay.
And this one had a sweater. And when I show this to you, you're going to be shocked.
It doesn't look like a sweater yet.
No, it doesn't look like a sweater, and it's going to be enormously huge.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is...
Wait, what?
Yes, this is our sweater pre-wash and full. I will show you one after.
That looks crazy.
But it comes off the machine. It's a flatbed knitting machine that's actually doing a circular. It's got the sleeves on it. Everything's finished. It just needs to be, all the yellow will be taken off.
Wow.
And then it'll be, if there's any little holes, like I see a little hole right here, that'll be repaired.
So there is still a lot of hand work done on these machine-made sweaters.
That's to that point, and then it'll come over here after. This is where they fix it and get it ready to be washed.
Incredible.
That's one finished.
Jeez.
That's an XL. So was that other one.
Still too big for you, but
too big for me,
much
but
smaller than it was
much
before.
smaller than the other one. So it gets washed and dried in the dryer, and then the wool just all shrinks and kind of folds.
Oh,
yeah.
That is,
and then it's waiting to get a label be put on it, and then it goes to the steamer.
That's so cool.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Could we actually go back over there and hold the two next to each other?
Yeah.
Okay. That's just wild.
I don't even understand it.
Oh, it's so cool. So
it does make it a bit of a challenge for programming sizes.
I would say so. So is this yarn, like, the yarn, does it still have all the spinning oil and everything on it? Like, is it not fully processed yet?
Right. It hasn't been, it's just come right from the spinner.
Okay.
There's a wax put on it so it can go through the knitting machines, and then we'll wash it. Actually, what they do is they soak it for like 20 minutes and spin it out and then dry it for 40.
Wow.
And it does that.
Wow.
And these are custom. So this isn't our yarn. It's somebody from across the country has sent us their wool from their sheep, and they're getting sweaters made out of it. So different breeds of sheep will also shrink differently.
Yeah. So you have to do like a tester.
Yeah, well,
to see.
Sometimes it's a whole sweater, and we realize that, oh, this shrinks much differently. Now it's a size small, and it was an extra large.
My goodness.
And then then this is shipping. They're getting, they're getting their stuff ready to ship today.
Nice.
So these are all little orders, starting to pull the orders. And I'm sure there's going to be quite a few because we had, a 3-day weekend, and we haven't done any shipping since Friday.
So these are individual orders.
These are all individual orders,
and
not
over
shop
there was
orders.
Like shop,
Yeah, these are just customer retail orders.
Cool. So tell me about the history of your store. Did you start out with the mill side of things? Like, how did you get into this?
It's kind of a funny story.
Okay.
I will try to streamline it because I am going to write a book about it. Anyway, it started, I had a passion for fiber in the 70s. I was like a flower child back then, and I learned how to spin and weave and set it all aside, had a big family. I have 7 children.
Oh my goodness.
And sometime when I was around 50, so I am 67.
Okay.
I was with a friend and we thought we should, why can't we buy Wyoming yarn? Why is there no yarn? There's all these shepherds and these ranches, the whole Basque culture is very centered in Buffalo. So there's a lot of that, and they were all sheep herders, but you couldn't find Wyoming yarn.
Interesting.
So the internet had just gotten started, and we decided we would find a mill and we would buy a bale of wool. We hauled it to Canada, and we ended up, 9 months later with all of this yarn, and we started selling it at farmers markets, and we dyed it ourselves. And
wow. So what year was this?
This was 2001, I think. And then we decided we should have one of those here. So we started writing grants, and we wrote a grant to the USDA for rural development, and we received it, and it gave us the credibility to do a feasibility study about putting a wool mill in Wyoming. And it just a snowball. It rolled down a hill, and it just got bigger and bigger. Initially, the mill was going to be a hobby, a small mini mill, maybe in our garage.
It's funny after seeing what we've seen.
We realized that we wanted to have an impact. We wanted to create a brand identity for the beautiful wool that's grown in this area. And in order to make any kind of impact, it had to be big enough. So that's why it got to the size it is. We really we were very mission directed. We wanted to help sustain sheep ranching in the West. And you only can do that by making it profitable. And that's how you make it sustainable. So that became our vision, and we just went forward from that. I knew how to knit and spin and weave and crochet and all those things, none of them very well, but I love fiber. I love yarn. I love the texture. I love the feel, and I love wool. I just love wool. So that naturally lent itself to let's target maybe the yarn market that seemed the most friendly because it felt familiar. And we started making yarn we found the building, we got the equipment, we made our first yarn, and we went to our first trade show. Wow. All within the first 3 months of opening up. And we just had white yarn. We had no colors. And it was very basic. And we came home from that trade show realizing we needed to learn a lot more about yarn. So we did. And now I think we have 17 bases and lots of colors. And it just kind of grew. It just kept growing. What the people wanted, we just kept adapting to.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
When did you get the building that you're in now?
This is where we started.
Oh, you started
this
here?
was
No
a
way.
big empty building. It had been sitting here for 3 years.
Wow.
And we knew we needed it big, but we didn't need it quite this big. So we wrote another grant. The Wyoming had a business committed community grant. So we wrote the grant. The city applied for this money from the state to get a business to move into this empty building, and that was us. We were the business. And we only had half of the building. It was used by another business on the other half. And as we grew, the other company moved out. We just kept expanding into this building, and now we're so full, we need to think about doing an addition or getting a new building.
Right.
But right now, this is where we are. We're just trying to make use of every inch of space.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
When did the storefront come along? Was that
So
pretty quick?
Not real. We opened the actual mill in 2008.
Okay.
So it took a while to kind of get it going before we actually opened it and got our employees. And then we had the ability to buy a few things, but we had nothing in the front. That was all used by another company. It was like a shared space. So you could buy some things back in the back.
Yeah.
And, you know, we didn't really get in. We were mostly wholesale. We weren't doing a lot of retail, but it started to become something people wanted. And we opened it up for tours then. We would take people on a walk-through tour for a long time. And then when COVID hit, we had to kind of change our model. We had more of a storefront already, but we started to do a self-guided tour that was free, that anybody could come, and that became very popular. And we really upgraded our website to be able to reach out to people who were at home, and sold lots of kits. We still sell a lot of kits with the pattern, the needles, and the yarn. And that kind of kept us alive through COVID.
Yeah.
It was a real good switch around.
That's great.
Yeah.
So would you ship everywhere?
We ship worldwide. So we ship wherever. I mean, we do not as much international shipping, but across the country, we ship a lot.
That's great.
Yeah. Our online presence has grown quite a bit, and we have quite a few yarn stores that get our yarn, and we also make yarn for other companies that do their own maybe dyeing, or they take it from there to, you know, whatever they want to do with it. So we have that end of the business as well.
Now, you started out, you know, your mission was to help keep the Wyoming like sheep farms and ranches going. So how much of your yarn is from Wyoming?
Probably 85% of it.
That's amazing.
No, even more than that. I think probably more like 90.
Wow.
Most of the yarn comes from Wyoming. We source a lot of black wool, and because we like to do the grays, we make a range of grays, and that comes from some South Dakota and Montana and Utah and Colorado. We have a really great merino in northern Colorado that we get. So we get the surrounding states as well. One of the ways we really try to support the ranchers is we pay a very high premium, much more than they would get if they were going to sell it on the main market. Wool is a commodity, and so it has big highs and lows, and we've just kind of evened the field because our yarn doesn't go up and down like that. So we base it more on, hey, we're going to sell this yarn for this much per pound. We're going to pay the rancher so that they can not have those big lows.
Yeah.
You know, we usually are always right at the market rate or above it.
Okay.
So,
and it can stay more consistent for them.
Yeah, and we never drop below a certain level. So even if it goes way down, we try to make our producers happy. We call them our producers. We call them, and they're part of our family. And one rancher came in one day. He knew nothing about yarn, and he was so thrilled. We had just he had put 10,000 pounds of wool into our producer program.
Sounds like so much.
And no, I know. And now we're going through like 65,000. We want to be at 120,000 pounds of wool a year.
Oh my goodness.
It's a lot of wool. But he looked around and he saw that yarn being spun, and he said, "You just keep making that string stuff." So,
you're like, all right.
I think he now knows it's called yarn, but then he did, whatever this is, you just keep making it.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's been a good journey, a real good journey.
That's amazing. So do you do anything like community wise? I know you talked about the group that comes in and knits in the store. Yeah, we participate in the parades. Sometimes we bring our mascot sheep. There's local events that we'll be at. There was just a sheep herders festival in Gillette. We were there a few weeks back. So we try to participate in those things and, do specials for our locals, like over the holidays and things like that. And then, working with the ranchers, but we try to be a presence, so that the local community feels like they're supported as well. And we have a good group of people who work here. So, keeping people employed is super important too.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And we have the Wyoming yarn crawl, or the cowboy yarn crawl.
The cowboy yarn crawl. Yes. I think we're in our 7th year.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And that kind of gets people, we have people come from Colorado and Montana, and they go as far as they can.
Mm-hmm.
The Wyoming yarn crawl encompasses a lot of a big state.
Yes.
So you've got to go all around the borders almost.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Where can people connect with you if they're, maybe they don't live in Wyoming, but they want to get some yarn, or maybe they'll come through someday? Like, what's the best way to keep up with everything that y'all are doing?
We have a newsletter, and we encourage you to join our newsletter. We send one out every month, and that connects people with what we're doing, what's new happenings. We usually have a section on the ranch, the mill.
Mm-hmm.
There's a section for crafters. There's probably a section for, people who want to buy a sweater. What's the new design? So we try to keep everybody updated with that. And, we are very responsive when it comes to sending us an email.
Mm-hmm.
And our website, people can look in there and find out almost anything and give us a call. You'll talk to one of us.
Oh, that's so awesome.
So all that contact stuff is on our website as well.
Perfect.
And I'm am not necessarily, I'm kind of the face of the mill because I started it, but my son now is taking over much of it. So Ben is the one buying new machinery, getting the new dye. We do commercial dyeing now. We're one of 3 in the whole country that does commercial yarn dyeing.
Wow.
And so that kind of thing, that's the future.
Mm-hmm.
So we're keep moving forward with that. I'm just kind of stuck in the past and taking the bale of wool to Canada and those kind of things. I'm passing it down. Yeah. Anyway, I'll write my book.
Yeah. Tell us more about your book.
Well, I have so many stories. I mean, so many stories that have happened over the last, 20 years of starting a company.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to forget them, and I just want to get it all down. So I'm just going to start.
That's so cool.
Yeah. It'll be fun.
Cool.
It'll be fun.
Well, thank you for having us here today. It's just been so much fun to see everything.
So glad you came, Natalie. It's been great.